Coach Jen Rivera and infielder Morgan Spicer from GVSU's 2023 National Runner-Up Softball Team joined Teaching Like Ted Lasso to discuss diamond lessons, what they've learned coaching and playing softball, and how it applies to teaching and learning.
Welcome, I'm Dave,
I'm John.
and this is Teaching Like Ted Lasso. John, I was looking today. Can you believe the last episode was May 7th, 2024? It's been more than a year. I'm a little worried. I have to say, have we forgot? Did I forget to do record? No, I did record. I have forgotten to do record before, and we had to
Just
do the
once.
whole thing. But anyways, enough about this. So we are back. We are excited for our guests for today. We're also trying out a little bit of a new format. One of the things that we wanted more of our guests and less of us, and so we've got two wonderful guests today.
Yeah, so welcome to the podcast, and would you introduce yourself to the listeners?
Hi, my name is Morgan Spicer. I am a fifth year here at Grand Valley State University. I am majoring in secondary education, mathematics, currently doing my TA placement right now, just about ready to wrap that up. Absolutely loving it. The past 4 years I've been here, I played softball for Grand Valley State University, which was a blessing. Had the best time ever. And I have one more semester to go. I have my teaching internship, and then I am out of here for good. Off to the real world.
Oh, you'll come back to visit, won't you?
Oh, absolutely.
All
Yeah.
right.
Hi, I'm Jen Rivera. I'm associate head coach for softball at Grand Valley State University. I've been coaching here for, gosh, really long time. I don't want to age myself at this point, but I played here as well and then just kind of stepped right into a part-time role right after that while I was doing some teaching and then eventually turned into a full-time position. And here I am today. So I get the honor of coaching these wonderful young women like Morgan, and it's been a blast.
See, Morgan, you could stick around, right, and coach.
I definitely could stick around.
Just
Yep.
You plan on coaching at the high school level, right?
I do. Yeah. I would love to get back on the field again in a different role, in a different position. I coached a little bit over the summer and I absolutely loved it. So I can't wait to get my foot in that professional door and start my coaching journey for sure.
And Jen, you mentioned that you were a teacher. What did you teach and for how long?
I taught at two different charter schools actually. Taught at William C. Emney Academy for a few years. I was first hired in as a paraprofessional for a year, and then I taught a first and second grade split. And then the next year I taught a third and fourth grade split. So that was really interesting, especially from, having that first experience. I guess you could say it was a little different. So, but it was very cool. And then I got moved to the middle school and taught middle school science for a couple years. And then I went over to Vista Charter Academy and was a middle school science teacher there for a year. And that's when the opportunity came up to coach full time, that I kind of hung up the teaching shoes and just put on a slightly different pair. Still teaching in a different way, just on a field instead of a classroom. So
That's an amazingly challenging first 3 years of teaching.
it was.
Yeah.
It definitely was, but I learned a lot. So it was good.
When I looked a little bit back into your backgrounds and I was thinking about this connection to Ted Lasso, I found that both of you had played on softball teams that had gone to the national championship, but then had lost.
Mhm.
And that made me think about in the last episode of the first season, Richmond loses the game and ends up being relegated. And it's a sad moment, but it's a communal moment. And I guess I don't know quite how to ask it except ask it, but like, what was that like for you all? What was it like to get to the championship, and then what was it like afterwards when you fell short?
Start,
Yeah,
start off with an easy one.
yeah, yeah, it's coming down hard on that one. So, but no, playing in it obviously is kind of surreal in the moment. It's everything that you kind of wish it would be, I guess you could say. It's just the intensity, the competitiveness, the just being right there with your teammates, knowing that it's your last game that year anyway, and that's it. You just lay it all out on the line and you give it everything that you have. And obviously that year didn't come out on top, but it was, I don't know, a feeling of pride, if you will, even though it was just missing that final goal. But just like how Ted says, you're going through that moment, that sad moment together. And I think that's what makes that such a powerful experience, even when you don't get that win. So, and Morgan and I have talked about that actually a few times that she made it the same year I did. So, sophomore year, made it to that national championship game, and we've talked about how like wanting to get back there the next 2 years was you sometimes feel that pressure and that you're putting it probably more on yourself than anything else, but just trying to get back to it because that feeling was just so special.
Yeah, absolutely. Playing on that stage was once in a lifetime. I wish it wasn't once in a lifetime, like what Jen said. I wish we went back, but it was phenomenal. The journey is so long. It starts when you walk onto campus in the fall and you sit down with your team and you set your goals and you start going to practice every day for months and months. And then it's a 40 game season. It's a very, very long journey. And next thing you know, you're standing on a field playing for a national championship, and it was amazing. Losing that final game, not winning it all it was a very hard lesson. It was very tough because we truly believed in each other and our team, and we had that belief running so deep between each other, between our culture. So it was heartbreaking, but it was a phenomenal, phenomenal experience. It was the best thing so far ever.
So Jen, was there a difference when you were a coach? Did you find yourself like you talked a little bit about having that conversation with Morgan, and I would imagine maybe even some of the other players, but were there other ways that it was different going through it as a coach?
Oh yeah, it was definitely different. I mean, you have much less control as a coach. So sometimes you have those moments of like wanting to go out there and join them and help them along and stuff. But it definitely was a different experience in that. And what's kind of funny about this, that season was actually very much related to Ted Lasso. I don't know how many belief stickers we used during that season, but it correlated very well that year. I found myself in a very different role, right? As a player, I was very competitive, very intense. And as a coach, I was like that too, but everything was much more put into that like, okay, I need to help them see that they can do this, that they belong here, that they deserve to be out on that field in that moment, and just instill in them that belief that they can do it.
Thank you. That was awesome. And it was a hard question. I think, John, you have an easier question.
Well, I do. A famous question from the show is lion or panda? Which would you rather be? But in particular, as it applies to kind of your experiences you were just talking about, does being one or the other help with that?
I would definitely say having that lion mentality. I feel like I resonated with that more. It's that you're ready for the hunt, you're ready to go attack things, stand up on the stage, put yourself in uncomfortable situations, being fearless, not being hesitant, just going out there and getting after it every single day, every month, every week, every minute. However, I will say like that panda mentality, that like mellow coolness, that relaxed sensation really does come in handy in those high pressure situations. Maybe runners are in scoring position, there's two outs, you're up to bat. Just having that like mellow, cooled out mentality and just trusting in yourself and but still going after it, still gonna get it and making sure that belief runs deep.
What I love about that too was when Jamie comes out and he says, "Coach, I'm me. Why would I be anybody else?" And I almost feel like that's that mentality that you want your players to have. I don't want to be anybody else. I want to be me because I know that I can do it. And even Dad says, I don't think you realize how psychologically healthy that is. Like it really truly is. And that's the kind of mindset you want your players to have.
So clearly, you probably, it sounds like, have watched it at least as much as I have.
Just a
I,
few times.
Well, and it was conversations with Morgan in class mentioning that, her coach had been sharing Ted Lasso scenes and the Believe stickers and things like that. So how were you using Ted Lasso? What were some of the other scenes that you were sharing? And why do you feel like it resonated so much for you in preparing for that season?
I think that that show in general is like every coach's dream, right? Like there's so many things about it that you can use. There's so much material from it that you can use to apply to your own team. I've used that goldfish scene with Sam, just having that short memory, being able to move past your mistakes. You learn from it, but then move on, right? You can't dwell in that moment. We've got to be able to bounce back to that next play. And so that was a big one. I've also used actually from a communication standpoint and like a personality standpoint. I think it's in season 2 actually when Yanmas says something somewhat rude. He says, only you played poorly. I played fine. Sam says it's no, he's not being rude, he's just being Dutch. So just that difference of personality wise, where people come from and their culture and things like that, that sometimes we have to have that understanding that not everybody is the same as us and we all communicate differently, even though it may come from a different place. It might sound rude, but he's not purposely trying to be rude. It just comes off that way. So that's really big from a culture standpoint of just learning how to communicate and how to understand each other and not take things personally all the time, even though it sometimes feels that way. And I think even just from a culture standpoint, that's one of the biggest ones I think that I loved when I first saw it was Ted basically is saying to Roy, going to empower you to lead. He says that first domino that has to fall is right inside that man's heart. You have to be able to lead your team, but you have to do it through your players. Your players have to be empowered to take over. And championship level teams are player led teams, especially the higher up you go when it comes to those types of things. So in a professional setting, definitely that's a big piece of it is creating that culture of buy-in that everybody believes in the same values that you do within that team and what you're trying to achieve. And there's a lot of things in that show that really pull that out. And so I use those things as examples quite often. So, and just there's a lot of inspirational things in there too, and just little scenes that truly inspire you and make you want to just go out there and get on the field.
Have we talked about John Eubacon's book, Let Them Lead?
I have not read it yet, but I have heard of it and I know it's on my list of books to read.
Yeah, because he says something about
Bad teams, nobody leads. Good teams, coaches lead. Great teams, everybody leads. And that is sustainable. That will perpetuate itself after you're gone, after, the stars are gone and so on and so forth.
just what you said, championship teams, the players lead.
Right.
Morgan, we've established that your coach is even more familiar than Dave with the show.
It's a
Had you
talent, I'm not gonna
known
lie.
had you known the show before you had a coach bringing it up?
No, actually, I know, guilty, but I still haven't watched it.
Yeah.
I have seen so many clips from Jen that was sent out to our team to like watch, and then we sit down and we have conversations about it, kind of like a Socratic seminar. Like we watch these, we prepare what we're gonna say, and then we come and we have a team-wide discussion about it. So I am familiar. Not even having watched the show, like you buy into it because the
Mm.
lessons and the meanings are so powerful and resonate so deeply within a team like ours. So yeah, I was not familiar until I came to campus my freshman year.
Interesting. So these scenes that she was mentioning, if can you remember it having an impact on you or
Absolutely. The biggest one I'd say that we covered, like what Jen said, is probably be a goldfish. That lesson is definitely the hardest lesson to not buy into, but truly use. You come onto a team where expectations are high and there's pressure to do well, and you have to be able to move on and grow. And me and Jen worked for 4 years about being a goldfish in different techniques on how to forget. The best one that I probably used was just you acknowledge your mistake. If an error happens, a strikeout, you acknowledge it. You pick out, all right, this is what I did wrong. You set a goal, what you're going to do the next time, and then you find a positive in the negative, which really helps me in my everyday life. Just if something's not going your way, you find that positive, and it's that growth mentality. It's I'm not going to linger on this. Something was good, something was bad, here's what I'm going to do about it, and then you move on. It's a 10-second process, and then you acknowledge it, it's over, you're going to do better the next time. So being a goldfish really was the biggest lesson that came out of Ted Lasso for me. I know Jen was talking about being the first domino to fall too. I think this really resonated with me my last year, being able to be selfless in what you do, being able to attack things head on, doing something for the team, not just yourself. Stuff needs to be put away or stuff needs to be set up. You're the one going out there and doing it. You're setting that expectation, really puts you in a leadership role, which I think really helped me prepare for what I'm doing right now, like in my TA, my student teaching. I'm not afraid to do the small things. I'm not afraid to step up to the plate. And I think that being the first domino to fall really resonated with that too.
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, just having been your teacher for a semester, I think of you as somebody with very high expectations for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Which can be a downfall, right? But again, I try to embrace that growth mentality. I want to be the best version of myself. And I think that came a lot from Jen and from playing softball and just being involved in a competitive sport, just pushing yourself to be better every day. Obviously, I want to be now the best teacher that I could be or the best coach that I could be. So, holding myself to those high expectations and then growing and learning through some of the downfalls or some of the failures.
Having those high expectations, though, Jen, you and I talked about, you used to have some conversations with Morgan after at bats.
You did, yes, yes. So that was part of her process of being a goldfish, I guess you could say, was, I would always make her come and tell me what the positive was from that at bat, just because it's much easier to let go of it when you realize that the result doesn't necessarily mean you didn't succeed. You may have hit the ball really well, but it just went right at somebody, or maybe your timing was really good. Maybe you sat on a changeup, whatever it is, there's so many things that you can pick out, especially in this game. Like you have to focus on the positives, right? Because it is a game of failure. You fail more than you succeed. So when you focus on the little things and what you've done really well within your process, it makes it much easier to be that goldfish and move on to that next play. So that was something I think we started your junior year maybe.
Junior year, yeah.
Yeah. So and that seemed to really she just hit her stride that year. I mean, she had a heck of a year that year, and it just carried on through the rest of her career. So she took ownership over it and bought into it, and I think just really felt that that was something that she could use for herself.
So one of the reasons I wanted to ask that question of Jen and make sure we got that out there is because I'm working with Morgan while she's doing her, what most people would
Hmm.
call student teaching. I've been very impressed by how steady Morgan is, and a lot of it is again, I think this mindset that she has. And the other thing that Jen has told me and Morgan has told me is about the journaling that you did, and to me it reminds me a little bit of this that whole idea of Ted trying to find out Jamie's operating instructions, right? How do I get to this kid? So you use some journaling, Jen. So you want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah. So with the journaling, a lot of it is really based on goal setting more than anything, because it's just statistically proven that you're actually more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. So, and then if you're able to evaluate them, that's even higher, pushing you up a little bit on your chances of achieving what you're working on. So there's a lot of reasons that I've used this for the past however many years. But that's one of them, is just goal setting and understanding to be able to focus on your process every single day, focus on those little things, not worry so much about the outcome. Also, just from a team camaraderie standpoint. So we set goals before every game, and they come up with these goals. What do they want to do for that game? And then again, it's just taking that ownership over their success. And they're able to kind of reflect on that and see what they did well and what areas that they need to improve on. And then, selfishly in a way, that is my operating manual for a lot of these players because they will open up in there about some different things and they'll talk a little bit if they get frustrated in there. And that's a safe space for them to do that. And I can give that feedback and I can learn more about them and know how I can communicate with them, what I can do to reach them that might help from a differentiated instruction standpoint. It's very, very similar to that. So I really get a really good gauge on how each person functions and what's going on in their brain a little bit. So it's really been helpful from that standpoint, not just alone at the goals.
So, Morgan, what was it like for you on the other end of that? Was it challenging to write those journals, or how did it affect you as a player or as a person?
It definitely started out like being a freshman, being handed this journal and saying, write these goals. It was difficult at first. And I think that's part of the buy-in. Like the more you did it, the more comfortable you got and the more vulnerable you became in your journal as well. Not in sense of like emotional vulnerability, but like recognizing these are my weaknesses or this is what I want to work on and it's okay and this is what I'm going to do to grow. Overall, like it made me more focused. Every week, every day, every year, every season, we sit down and we do our team goals and usually they're pretty big goals. And then every week you set these smaller goals that eventually build up and accommodate to reach these bigger goals. And the season's so long, like we start in September, November,
Right.
what is it?
September.
September, and we don't end until sometimes late as May. Practices can get repetitive, routine can get very, very repetitive, and doing these journals really, really help you focus on the big goals, like the purpose, why we're doing this, why we're here. It's that intention every practice of I'm going to focus on this goal, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to reflect, I'm going to analyze on how I did at the end of the week, and I'm going to set new goals. Yeah, it was very, very helpful. It was also a nice way to connect with Jen. It gave us what she said, like a safe space if something was going wrong. You know, college sports are hard, it gets tough, it gets busy, and it gives us that safe space to reach out and, get stuff off our chest, get right, talk to somebody. So it was very, very helpful. I still have all four of my journals. I don't think I'll ever get rid of them. And just looking back through my first ever journal to my last one, like the growth that you see in it is insane. Like I'm a totally different player than I was my freshman year.
Interesting. What's one way you were a different player as a senior than as a freshman?
It's a big question. I was definitely, I guess, more focused. You can see the goals progress from your freshman year. Like some of them might be really like surface level goals. And then that senior year, you're really like, I'm gonna do this. This is what I have to do. And then you start developing those techniques. Like what Jen was saying, my junior year, I started talking to her after every at bat. And you start developing those type of techniques to help you as a player than just coming in, fresh out of high school. You don't really know how college sports work or the culture of the team. And then once you look back at your upperclassmen journals, like you see the buy-in, you see the culture, you see how your intentions have changed.
Interesting. So, did that kind of player transformation, you feel like that affected you personally as well?
Oh, definitely personally. It put me in a good position to have that growth mindset. Like I feel like personally, like I deal with fallbacks or setbacks, criticism a lot better. I'm willing to step up in high pressure situations and uh, get it done. Whether it's I'm at my TA and she goes, "Hey, I forgot to tell you, do you want to do this lesson?" And I haven't even looked at the paper. Yeah, I'll do it. We'll figure it out as we go. Like I want to get in there and do it. It's made me a better communicator. I feel like I communicate well. I handle those high pressure situations well. Overall, I feel like I've just grown mentally.
And she handles hard better. I think that's like one of the
Yeah.
biggest things. When things got harder, she was able to handle it, I think, much more her last 2 years than her first two, for sure.
I
That's
was,
interesting.
I'm a very emotional person. I am, and that's a fact, and I'm okay with that. That was just what we needed to work on, and I needed to work on dealing with that hard better. And definitely over those 4 years, huge, huge change.
Hmm.
So, Jen, what is that like as a coach, seeing kind of your work on the field kind of spill over into who they are?
It fills my heart. a lot. So it's such a cool process to see them come in, as freshmen and just kind of not sure of who they are yet. And every year just kind of grow into that person that they set out to be. And it's one of the most rewarding experiences, I think, than anything. And then being able to have conversations with them the next year or the year after that and see how they're doing. And it's truly a blessing to be a part of it all.
So, and this is one of the reasons why John and I we were we were tired of just talking. Did you see Ted Lasso? That's just like, as you said, Jen, that's just like differentiation, or that's just
Yeah.
like this.
Hmm.
And in season three, episode two, there's this whole conversation between Roy and Trent and Ted about this idea of sport being a metaphor for life. Also a good nickname. But it's this idea of, so how do we developed the podcast because we wanted to say, so how do we learn from this show things that we might apply in the classroom? It was interesting. John shared with me a podcast, Math Therapy, just recently, and that podcast episode was focused on the World Series, in particular, what the Blue Jays taught us about math education. And at the very end, they came up with this one idea about how do we make the classroom more like a clubhouse? This is our conversation, right? So as you're thinking about all that you've learned on the field, both as a player and as a coach. You're both also educators. Jen, you still teach classes here at Grand Valley as well. How do you bring the clubhouse to the classroom?
I think the biggest thing that I realized from being a player and a coach is just the relationship piece. I don't think that you can teach someone or coach someone if they don't buy into you as a person and what you stand for and the goals that you have for them and yourself and your team. And I think that that applies to anything that you do. If you want someone to follow what you're trying to teach, you've got to get them to buy into it. And I think the way you do that is you build that relationship. That's what carries it through. I feel like anyway, that's probably the strongest lesson from all of that is just that relationship piece.
What about you, Morgan?
Oh, I would totally agree with that. I see it now in my classroom, walking into a new one with students that I don't really know. Just building those relationships and watching them like open up to you and be vulnerable, and they're coming up and they're talking about their day, but they're also able to come up and ask questions and be vulnerable and, hey, I don't understand this. Like, could you help me? Could you help me? And those I cherish those relationships hugely, and that would be my goal as a professional moving forward, to just develop as best relationships as I can with my students because it really does make a difference in their learning.
Are there things from softball, Morgan, that would maybe help you to do that? I don't want to lead you into
Yeah.
the journal thing, but are there things that you see that coach did that you feel like you might be able to do to foster those relationships?
Yeah, I know, Coffee, that you call yourself our math coach, our teaching coach to say. I try to do that with my kids a lot. Math is hard for a lot of students. There's a lot of negative feelings towards math, and just if they are feeling frustrated or they have those negative thoughts start to come in during class or they check out, just reminding them like that positive flip of the mind, like, no, you can do it. Like, we're working on this. Is learning's hard, right? You have to fail to learn. Like, this is okay. This is actually great that you don't understand. Let's work through it. So just trying to really instill that positive mentality on my kids. I want them to have a positive relationship with math. I don't want them to hate my classroom. So I definitely like what Jen did to me for 4 years, just flipping all those lessons. Like, I want them to flip their mindset from negative to positive as much as possible, and I want to help them do that.
And Jen, what about you? What does teaching at the university level look like? The same or different to coaching at the university level?
I teach, softball, softball class. So it's pretty similar, but it's the same idea. You have to be able to establish those relationships with the students. I mean, it's fun. It's fun that way when you're able when you're able to do that. We get to know each other really well in my class. We talk a lot. find out what their interests are, things like that. And we just play a lot of softball. So it's pretty fun. So, but it's the same way. I think it would be not a really fun class to go to if you didn't get to know the other students in the class and them getting to know one another and stuff like that because it is more of a team atmosphere.
Morgan, where do you see play in the classroom? Is that also something that you're looking at as something that you can transfer?
Yeah, when you play or just experiment in the classroom, it's that low stakes, it's fun. The kids are more engaged. You're having fun. The kids are laughing. They're engaging more with you, with each other. The environment is just, it's fun. And I think they learn so much more with interacting with students and having those positive relationships. It's so much better than just sitting down listening to someone lecture at you for 40 minutes. I know, Coffee, we had a conversation about adding little things into those kind of lessons if you can't avoid it, like a turn and talk with a partner, work with somebody. And I think that goes into that play, like having that go interact with other kids. Let's have a positive classroom environment.
That's great to hear. I feel like one of the lessons in Ted Lasso is about finding joy where you are. And so, Morgan, as you're diving more deeply into the classroom every semester here, what is something about where you're finding joy in teaching?
Honestly, through the kids, we have a lot of fun. I have great relationships with my students. I look forward to interacting with them every single day. They're a blast.
Wait,
Um,
you didn't get the message, no smiling till Christmas?
no. Yeah, but that's probably my biggest joy through teaching is just these relationships that I have and just interacting with these kids, getting to know them, having that relationship, and then also seeing them be successful, whether that be acing a quiz or just finishing their homework and being proud of their work. That success, it makes me feel so happy. I just had a student the other day. He usually struggles. He doesn't get things like easy right away, but he's been working so hard and we just took a test and he actually gave it to me and I was grading. He was like, "Can I watch you grade?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, come here." So I was grading it. He got 100% and he was so happy about it. He was telling his all the kids, "I aced it. I aced it." He took a picture of it. It was just, oh my God, I was just sitting there like I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Like this is awesome." And it was just a great feeling watching him be successful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Jen, how about for you as a teacher, as a coach? Where is the joy?
Everywhere. I enjoy what I do every day and I think it's just again those relationships that you build with all these amazing young women every single day. Yeah, there's difficult times, there's hard times and they go through a lot, but being able to help them through that and see them come out on the other side when they graduate as the person that they've always wanted to be and on their way to be that strong, successful person in the real world is just it's awesome. So there's so much to celebrate every day. And that's something I love to be able to see them do. So it's great.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
So we appreciate you both so much. Thank you for taking this time during what I know for at least one of you is a very, very busy time of the year. It's meant a lot to us. Is there anything else that you'd like us to know or that you'd like to share with our audience?
Actually, I was gonna say something earlier too, that when we went to the World Series, the last episode came out while we were there. And
Ah,
but it came out at like midnight.
Be an
And
early day the next morning.
we did, but what was funny about this, and Morgan, I don't know if you knew this or not, I went down and watched it in our little conference room.
Oh,
Stayed up and watched it, and Paige came with me. So she was one of the other players, and she was like, "I'm not going to bed."
Oh.
And she came in and she watched it with me, and we're both sitting there just bawling before we had to go play the next day. But she's one of those kids that really loved that show too, and we bonded a lot through that show. It was a pretty cool moment. But that whole run to the World Series and through the World Series and stuff, like it was all during towards the end of the last season, and so it was pretty cool how that all aligned as we went through it. So that was kind of neat.
I would definitely say a lot of things aligned that year. It was
Absolutely.
beautiful, beautiful season.
It was.
Oh, it's such great I'm so glad that you guys were able to have that experience. Again, we're back to the idea of relationships.
Mm.
So thank you very, very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Stop.
you.
Please check out our show notes for more resources.
Well, how about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel like I was at my best. It definitely I felt rusty. I could tell I was saying a lot of ums and ahs. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, let's try to channel Coach Jen there. So, what was something positive that you could focus on from it? What went well?
Well, having them on went well. As you said, they were amazing.
And the guests are always the best part of this.
Yeah, I did like this format, right? Instead of us having to try to, I think it helped, like you said, Jen's an expert on Lasso. So I think it helped that we didn't have to do a lot of those connections. But I thought it was good that we had them on for longer and less of us.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.